Welcome to Melt. I'm Suresh Venkat. It's no secret that data is central to business today, and hence it's key for marketers to understand the evolving data landscape and winning data strategies to drive better business outcomes and customer experiences. That's the leading thought behind the Leveraging Consumer Data for Marketing study, a result of a collaboration between the India chapter of Marketing Trade Association MMA Global and EY. To know more, we are talking to Monica Khurana, Country Head and Board Member, MMA India, Amir Swaroop, Partner, EY India, Sujit Ganguly, Chief Marketing Officer, ICICI Bank, and Saloni Shah, GM Media, Digital and Data Transformation at L'Oreal India. How can marketers use consumer data and build data capabilities? Get ready to melt and listen in. Monica Khurana, this is the second edition of the report. What key trends have emerged in this edition?
So basically, this report was supposed to understand types of data at play. It was supposed to understand how it's impacting marketers and what are the kind of privacy frameworks that are being worked upon to manage consumer protection. So what we've seen is that there is immense efficiency which is being witnessed, and the data shows that 78% of marketers found it very efficient to use data as a part of their marketing strategy, and 91% of the marketers we spoke to around 170 CMOs and CXOs, and 91% have been using data as we talk to them, right? So that's one trend we've seen. The second trend we've seen is heightened investments in capabilities, where if I remember right, the data said about 73% of marketers are invested into data tech or are on the way to make investments into data tech. So that's the extent to which data marketing is becoming focal to businesses, because they're seeing that it delivers outcomes and it is making their plans efficient.
So, Amir, the big takeaway I have here is that data is making marketing more efficient. What are the trends that you would like to highlight from the report?
Actually, bang on. Yes. So, the survey has shown the trends that the marketers across have made considerable gains in leaps and bounds in terms of collection of data. However, the next leg of the maturity now moves into the usage of data for decision making. And that's where, the survey respondents demonstrated that there is certain bit of struggle to evolve that process to come on the whole decision making path. So yes, there is a lot of data. There are a lot of initiatives to collect data, and especially with the cookie-less world around the corner for all the marketers, 1P data is the gold mine. But the next leg is how do they really implement this data and use this data for the organization.
Sujit Ganguly, what are the key trends that are BFSI marketers such as yourself, what should they be cognizant of?
First is that while digitization is going up and people are loving it and taking to digital, but omni-channel is not going down. So the implication for marketers is that the experience has to be consistent, the offerings have to be consistent, and we have to leave the choice to the consumer. He or she would like to go wherever he or she wants, and they should get a great experience on all channels. That's number one. Second is that because of the amount of data that is going up about brands, people are searching more. If you look at search data across all our product lines, across organizations, search is going up exponentially. And that means that for every consumer that we have to get, we will have to win against 5 or 6 other brands, which again means experiences, processes, digitization, the journey, ease of the journey, the sharp targeting, all those we will have to be continuously will have to improve if you have to gain market share.
Saloni Shah, what are the key trends that you are seeing in your industry, the takeaways from the report that you would consider?
The biggest takeaway with all of the numbers that are in that report, right, is that data-driven marketing is no longer optional. It's no longer a good to have slide on a presentation that you're showing to your board of directors. I think it's a must have for every industry and for every organization, because, like Sujit was saying, search is a big trend. In order to win a consumer, you're fighting against 5 brands, right? And so you've got to track your edge in order to keep your edge. You've got to track your consumers in order to have them and to keep them. From a perspective of L'Oreal, I think our key takeaways are, one, that we need to focus on robust attribution. I think that's a learning, and I also see numbers out there to say that only 30% of marketers actually use it for personalization, right? Which is the point of having data to give relevant consumer experiences. So I think robust attribution would be one, and the other would be how we can leverage automation and AI in order to ensure that the data we actually have is being scaled up and used across the organization, and not just in, say, for example, media implementation, which is usually the easiest use case to have with consumer data.
Amir, you work with leading Indian brands as part of your practice at EY India. How do you see Indian marketers handling the challenges of attribution? Saloni just brought it up on the challenges of attribution.
So, Suresh, the way I'm seeing the marketers across, I think a marketer today plays a very critical role in an organization. And currently, the usage of data, while it's more on the sales, marketing, engagement, there are at least 20 plus use cases of those data. And as the custodian of that data, a marketer can actually drive the usage of data across organization. And I think that's the hat a marketer really has to dawn upon in the next era of marketing. Today, the attribution is put on, let's say, e-commerce channel or a digital performance marketing. But attribution truly needs sales, distribution, supply chain, all of them playing a critical role in a two-way communication on, how to link it to my media money is being put in. So there's a much larger role where I see a marketer really has to play. It's not a CMO role anymore. We are seeing more and more CTOs becoming CMOs or CMOs becoming CIOs. The line for the CMO is very blurry today. Also, in terms of tools application, and our report is going to show that a lot of dependency is on brand track and A/B testing. If we look at West, like a US, and we did this comparison last year in the report, that at least 27% more of the marketers out there are using M and media mix modeling techniques and tools to implement, which is something very critical to be able to establish attribution model today in an organization. So still a way to go, but unless the attribution is established, and that I don't see that happening unless there's a larger role that a CMO plays in an organization today.
Amir, does this mean that the way we teach marketing in B schools has to change, or the way we train young managers has to change in organizations?
I think every 6 months.
Let's get a marketer's perspective on this. Sujit, from a marketer's perspective, what are the organizational challenges with so-called end-to-end attribution?
So I think as a bank, we are lucky because we are able to get the end customer data as the person comes in, right? Most of our campaigns are acquisition-led campaigns. So we are able to do an end-to-end attribution because we know the channel, the source of the channel. In a lot of cases, the closure will not happen online. The closure happens offline, but there's a CRM to track it. And through UTM parameters, we are able to get right from source to acquisition. So we are able to do that, and it's a continuous exercise for us. It's a daily, weekly, monthly exercise, and we have to do it for all our channels, all channel product combinations. The learnings are interesting. We can never get an attribution and say this channel works for this product because it may change after 6 months, but it may change for reasons, in some cases, for reasons not known to us. So attribution is a reality. Attribution is a constant thing that we have to keep doing every day, every week. And it's an important leg for us to understand efficiency. Because you see, when we are in the acquisition business, we'll have to look at a cost of acquisition. It has to be within acceptable costs to the organization. We can't live in our own bubble.
You're not a hyper-funded tech startup.
No, not at all. So costs are a real issue for us. It's a reality for us. So attribution is an inescapable part of our digital marketing efforts. And I fully agree with you. It's a full organization has to be involved because, as I said, some closures are happening online. A lot of closures, because of multiple reasons, happens at the call center or on the ground. And we will need the CRM to get the loop back to do a source to closure attribution.
Let me take that same question to Saloni. Saloni, in a cricket match, you hear commentators saying at one point in the game, it doesn't matter how the runs come as long as they come. Is there a point in a marketer's life where you say, okay, attribution and all that is fine, but as long as we're getting customers, we're getting business at a reasonable cost, attribution isn't all that important. Is there a point in marketers' life where you'd say that?
I think so far we've been living without attribution, right? Data streams in general are more new age. And we didn't know what we don't know. But with data-driven marketing, I think attribution becomes very, very key. The path to purchase in a consumer's journey now is no longer linear. It's not that, they see a TV advertisement, they get aware about the product, and then they go to the shop and buy it. A lot of times you'll be on an e-commerce site and that's where you've actually discovered the product at a point of purchase, in a way of speaking, right? And so I think that in days to come, the path to purchase journey for each consumer is going to be personalized. Today, for example, the way maybe Monica likes to shop may be very different from the way I like to shop, right? And in order for her to make a purchase, a marketer may need to maybe first reach out to her on, say, Instagram, and then a television commercial, and then maybe she goes to the store and she purchases. Whereas for me, it may be different, where I would like to be reached out via WhatsApp because that's my first mode of communication. And then maybe I'd like to purchase it online. And I think data and attribution is what is going to help marketers understand that each consumer is going to be different, and it's going to help us be more relevant.
Monica, it's been said that data is the new oil. But the problem is we have lots of problems with oil. We're trying to get rid of the old oil because that gave us a lot of problems.
Right.
What are the likely problem areas in data?
Absolutely. So yes, data is the new oil, but it has its own problems. So for example, even if I had to just start with a little bit of a deep dive from the report itself, 50% of the respondents mentioned that data quality is a glaring issue. As Amiya said, there is a lot of first-party data being collected, but the problem is that the quality of that data is a challenge. The way it is handled, the way it is segmented, and the way it is managed through technology is where the big gap is. So clearly data quality has to be worked upon for it to become more richer, and for marketers to be able to leverage it more effectively, like Saloni said, to be able to understand those purchase patterns for various consumer cohorts and then target accordingly. That's only possible at the back of quality data segmentation. So that's one issue. The second issue is privacy. Privacy is definitely a very, very big issue. Today, a consumer is very contradictory in nature. Reason I say this is because whilst they want personalization, they do want privacy. So they will not let go privacy for personalization. So a marketer has to find a way to navigate, to protect their privacy, to have robust frameworks which protect their privacy, and yet offer them a personalized customer experience and a personalized purchase path, which will allow them to convert the customer and retain the customer, right? So whilst in the report, lastly, whilst we do say that data is becoming one of the biggest assets in an organization, but the reality is it's still struggling in terms of fixing quality issues. So unless quality is not fixed, you can't really leverage an asset like that as effectively as one would want to.
Saloni, I noticed you nodding when both Ameya and Monica were speaking. Can you tell us from your perspective the challenges of integrating first-party and third-party data?
The toughest thing to solve for is this triangle between quality, cost, and scale. When it comes to quality, again, at least in beauty, getting the right audience signals itself, is a challenge. And as a company, we operate from, say, a mass consumer division into hyper luxury. And so to be able to segment across and get qualitative data points to enrich the first party data that we have, I think is the first challenge we have on quality. I think the second is in terms of then the data acquisition costs itself. And then the MarTech that comes with it, right, to create this ecosystem. Because yes, the CIOs and the CMOs and more of the digital community within the organizations believe in this today, and they don't need to be sold with the idea of data-driven marketing. But I think to the larger, community and board, it's always about, is it helping us build revenue? And how are we building incrementality, right? And how do you make sense of a cost or an investment you're going to make today, the returns of which you're only going to see over a period in time. So yes, there is a lot around first party and third party that we're doing, but we're also trying to figure a route via partnerships with second party data, at least in the beauty industry, to maybe find a middle ground in the way we operate.
On that note, let me go to Sujit. Sujit, how much data is too much data?
It's an excellent question. So let me tell you a real life thing. So last week itself, me and my team, we were going through a demo of a very large and popular tech product. And it was a 2-hour session where we were trying to understand the product, and then we were asking questions. My team was there, they were asking questions. And after some time, it gets intoxicating. Can you show me this cut plus this cut, A plus B or D? Then somebody asks, okay, but I don't want or D. Can I do this intersection with that intersection with this interest in mind? After 1 hour, we realized that, data by itself can be intoxicating, but can be confusing also. So my mantra always, what has worked for me, and I hope it will work in the future, is that first know what is right for the customer, what is right for the business. And we have to have the insight to be able to sift through the millions of pieces of data with us that is landing every day, sift through that and find out what is relevant. If I have to start tracking every piece of data that my team collects, I will not be able to finish 1 day of data. I won't be able to go through it in a week. So we have to have our objectives in mind. What is it that we're trying to do? Maximize turnover, minimize costs, look at the most efficient channels, look at the most profitable customers, look at the best channels from where to source them, look at a path to purchase, where are we getting dropouts, and many more such things. I'm just giving you a few examples. Look for what we want to do to improve our efficiency and efficacy, and then look for the right pieces of data. Because today the amount of data is going up, and it can be mind-boggling, it can be confusing for us. So my mantra to my team always is know what you're looking for, and then look for it, and then play with the amount of data, you will get the right insights.
Saloni, with all this data available, what happens to the famous marketer's gut instinct? Does this mean that instinct is dead?
For me, no. I think, instinct and data, I think it's a false choice to make. I don't think it really needs to be a choice. I think when you keep the consumer at the center, right, of every marketing decision you make, and you use data as an enabler to answer the instincts that you have, or to answer for any of the hypotheses that you have, I think that's the combination that really works, right? So is instinct going to be dead? No, not really. Because like, Sujit was saying, you can actually get overwhelmed with data sometimes, right? Because just the sheer amount of data points that you can capture. That's not really going to teach a marketer, say in our case, when I'm, at one of our stores and I'm actually seeing how the consumer is interacting with the product, how she's putting it on her skin, how she's using it. No amount of data is going to teach me that. Data is going to show us the outcomes. Data is maybe going to help us with the path to purchase. It may help me understand how frequently she buys, so I know when to maybe message her. But it's not going to help us understand how she uses our products, how she interacts with us. And I think that is when experience, instinct, etc. comes into play. So for us, I don't think it's really a choice. I think putting both of them together is really where the entire victory is.
I think completely agree with what Saloni said. To me, gut and creativity will have to always exist with data. That's what will make us better. The day that doesn't exist, I think AI bots can fully replace us. So gut and creativity will always have to work, and I think it is what makes us better.
Well put. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's well put.
Monica, you've heard all the comments about
Right.
integrating data and gut instinct.
Right.
Is there some skills that marketers need to learn? Amay, I remember saying a little while ago that marketers are becoming CIOs.
Right.
What is the road ahead for marketers? Do they need to upskill, side skill, learn new skills?
I think, first of all, we have to recognize that organizations need to operate like coalition setups. They're no longer, linear in nature, like Saloni was saying a while back. They are literally coalitions where there is collaboration at every level, every stage. Everyone's roles are sort of fusing for the final business outcomes and business results. So clearly, there has to be an organizational change in terms of the way structures are being looked at, and maybe relook at those structures. So that's point number one. Secondly, skilling, there's no two ways about it. Skilling is one of the most critical elements today, because you may have a lot of tech in your organization, you may have a lot of knowledge, but if people are not trained to use and apply the tech and use and apply the knowledge, then that's not going to help. So it's extremely important that there is skilling happening on an ongoing basis to be able to upgrade the ability to use the available new age tools and technology.
Amaya, what will future editions of this report look like? Will bots be writing the report?
I hope so not. No, so it's an interesting question. A lot is, rest on the usage and how, and in the Indian context, how the marketers are really evolving to use the data points. While we were doing the survey, we actually, found at least 17 plus use cases of data. And today a marketer is probably using 3 or 4, which is on analytics or location-based targeting, etc. Personalization, and we all spoke about personalization, but that takes a lot of analysis plus experience plus gut to reach to that personalization, because my customer, while we are talking about the marketers, my customer is also evolving, right? The media landscape is evolving. We don't know whether it will be smartphone or whether it will be 3D, or how will we be communicating tomorrow. And as that changes, the whole scenario for a marketer will change. Data will remain constant. So let me assure you, it will always be insights backed by data, gut feels supported by data. My next initiative will be supported by data, because, in the entire journey, and I've seen this for the last 10, 15 years, there's a lot more accountability today on the marketing function today. And the data is actually corroborating whether the decision is right or could be done better. So there is definitely efficiency. So I think data will remain constant. The usage and application will keep evolving. Yes. Right. So we'll probably see different set of usage.
Monica, as authors of the report, in your view, how should Indian marketers use this report?
Okay, let me just churn out a top of mind formula, P square, C square. The first P being it's a playbook, which allows you to navigate your journey in data marketing, whichever stage you are, whether you are a left behind, whether you are an enthusiast, how do you become a leader in data? The other P being is use the playbook to create POCs. So like Amiya said, there are many use cases to how you can leverage data. So let's look at ways of creating POCs at the back of the report and see how you can most effectively leverage data. So that's the P square part. The C square part is, this is a report which allows you to get a custom view of how you stack up in your category and what is it that you can learn from others in the category or from active categories. So for example, we put out in the report that automobile, retail, e-commerce, these are some of the very, very active categories in data. So how do you learn from them, right? And the last piece is collaborate with data experts who've contributed to the report and try and see how you can use their expertise to be able to mature in the data journey.
Okay, I like that formula, P square and C square.
Yeah.
All right, on that note, we come to the end of this discussion. Saloni, Sujit, Ameya, and Monica, thank you very much.
Thank you
For being
Pleasure.
part of Melt.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks, Suresh.
Thank you.
With that, it's a wrap on this episode. You can follow Melt on social media. The handle is Ready to Melt, or simply log on to readytomelt.com. If you'd like to follow me, I'm @Suvenk on Twitter. Till next week, goodbye and thanks for watching.